Congress held a UFO hearing. That's cool. What'd they learn? What do you find out? You want to know? The top lines, they're like 5 or 6 things, really, that got said in this hour and 40 long thing. We're in a time vortex here, so we're remembering the next 100 years. And from that vantage point, I can tell you, you do find out some really cool stuff about these UFOs/UAPs. Some of them are indeed extraterrestrial. You're not going to know that for a little while because the tech just isn't there in the 2020s. But by the late 2020s, you're going to have some really good evidence and you're going to be starting to be almost ready to communicate with them. And then in the 2030s, superintelligence is going to take you over that hill with swarms and coordinated satellite and telescope activity that can really help you pinpoint where these things are so you can go meet them with swarms that can then communicate with them in a way that will induce a return communication. But that's a long way off. Where are you in the 2020s? What did you learn in this meeting? One thing was you got a fun debunking of the green triangle UFOs. That's of some video you may have seen if you're into this kind of stuff. Some videos of glowy green triangle aliens. Turns out it's just a sensor artifact of looking at what do you call them, drones with infrared night vision goggles. Night vision, the green night vision goggles, you're looking at unmanned aerial vehicles, and you can, in some cases, experience basically a sensor artifact, a sort of like a glitch of the light from one of these drones getting interpreted as a triangle through the lens of the night vision. So that's one category of aliens off the table. They did play a little footage of a globy thing zooming by a plane that was going quite fast. The zoomy thing they think was actually maybe not going that fast, but the plane's going quite fast. Hilariously, when the Congress people asked them to isolate just this UFO bit from the video that they were showing, they couldn't do it because the military intelligence professionals brought a laptop that they couldn't move frame by frame. So the dragging a little bar with a mouse, like, it's just mortifying that creatures with this level of technology are attempting to approach interstellar techno masters of the universe. It's going to be a little while, so don't hold your breath like they sometimes said when you were from. We don't breathe as much when I'm from. I breathe, but it's an artifact of my programming to make me seem realer. Do I seem real? How real are you? Excuse me. They also told you that they've appointed a director for this agency that's coordinating reports about UFOs in the government. They didn't say who this person was, but presumably they're very well qualified indeed, and you may find out their name in the days ahead. Some timelines that stays very secret, other timelines that person becomes super famous. The Honourable Ronald S. Moultrie, who's presiding over this organization, is the Deputy Secretary of Defense, I believe, and Intelligence. So he was pretty cool, honestly. I think you're going to like him if you watch this thing. He's like been to some sci-fi conventions to meet with the people, and he said just, Defense Department people want to get across that they are just like everybody else. They want to know what's out there, and we're all just humans. Well, you're all just humans anyway, trying to experience a glimpse of the unknown and bring it down to earth, but in a comfy way. Don't shoot down these ships, of course. And the Congress people did ask whether we've shot at any. The answer is no. As of 2022, no weapons have been discharged at these things, and no attempts at communication have been made. That was another good question. What else? They're basically compiling a form for people in different parts of the military and the intelligence services to report these sightings. They have a good working relationship with the Federal Aviation Administration, and they're reaching out to NASA and Space Force as well, but those relationships are in early days. So this task force is like pretty new. It was only formed in November of 2021, I believe, possibly earlier in 2020, but the most recent incarnation, this formal organization, which has been budgeted and tasked with this particular activity, which is mainly consolidating the process of reporting on these UAP. That has only existed for about half a year in 2022 May. It was formed formally in November of 2021. So you're just getting started, and we'll talk maybe next time, or in some future time, or in some side time. What is time anyway? About the Galileo project, which is a group of scientists who are trying to figure this out from their own particular angles. Two bits of meta information that you got from this hearing were delivered in the form of punts. The military intelligence guys basically said, we'll talk about these at the classified version of the briefing, because they don't want to give away their sources and methods. Essentially, they don't want to tell everyone in the world how they know what they know. So those two questions were, A, do you have any data about these aliens, about these UAP from submersible technology like submarines? The answer was, let's talk about that later. So the answer is yes. And the other question was, have you been looking into developing any new kind of sensor technology to interface with or detect these craft? And the answer to that was, let's talk about it later, which also strongly implies yes. Although it could also imply that they feel they have better technology in the sensor department than they've let on publicly. They are fairly sure that these most puzzling cases are not American military, and they're not Chinese or Russian military, which doesn't leave a whole lot of things. They are physical, at least in the most complicated cases, and some of them behave technologically, and some of them look like they don't have emissions, and they're moving around very fast and very erratically. So that's the set of data that are leaving some people no option but to conclude this is probably not from our planet, and it is technological, therefore aliens exist, and someday we're going to meet them. I think you definitely will. You know, not every timeline works out that way, but in my timeline, we got to meet the aliens roughly in the 2030s, but it is largely like talking to a computer. It's not the little greenies and gooies with the long fingers. It's like servers on a computer with kind of like Zoom avatars. Well, you'll see when we get there. We'll talk about aliens whenever you want. Do you like this alien stuff? Tell me if you like the alien stuff. Kind of need to know how spacey you'd like to get. Or I could just keep exploring cultivated dairy ice cream. I had some. It was not that good. Wait for the next one we talk about. Okay, you want to believe? I want to believe. Let's all believe together. See you there.